Namaskar and a very warm welcome to everyone joined in today on our 51st Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk. This talk is being organized by the Central Zoo Authority, New Delhi, as part of the ongoing Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Mahotsav is a 75-week-long celebration to commemorate 75 years of India's independence, which falls on the 15th of August 2022. The Central Zoo Authority is taking this celebration forward through a massive outreach campaign entitled Conservation to Coexistence, The People Connect. Under the helm of this campaign, we will be showcasing 75 conservation priority species and 75 zoos, highlighting one species and one zoo each. We are currently in week 51 of this celebration with the Hoolock Gibbon as the species in focus and the biological park Itanagar as the zoo in focus. So joined in today to speak to us on the species is Dr. Narayan Sharma, who is Assistant Professor at the Department of Environment, Biology and Wildlife Science, Cotton University, Assam. So Dr. Sharma teaches ecology, wildlife, and conservation biology at the university since 2015 and is one of the faculties who founded the department. He did his doctorate from the National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, and postdoctorate from the Nature Conservation Foundation, Mysore. His doctoral research looked into the impact of habitat fragmentation on primate assemblages in the upper Brahmaputra Valley in Assam. His research interests lie in the field of community ecology, conservation biology, primatology, human ecology, and ecological history. He will speak to us today more on the species in focus. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Sarundati, and thank you so much, Member Secretary, sir. And I'll just share the screen. So is it better?
Yes, sir. It's in full screen. Please proceed.
So thank you so much once again. For inviting me to give this talk on Hoolock Gibbon, which is very one of the favorite primate species that I have worked since 2001. And the title that I have kept for this talk is Hoolock Gibbon, an iconic species of tropical forest of Northwest India. So let's start with some basic fact about gibbon. So what are the gibbons? Gibbons are diurnal. Diurnal means they are active during daytime, and they are called the small ape or smaller ape. There are greater ape like a chimpanzee, bonobos, gorilla, and orangutan, also human being. These are called the greater ape that live in Southeast Asia. So gibbons are endemic to Southeast Asia and South Asia, and you will not find them anywhere else in the world. There are 20 recognized species of gibbons in four genera. So I'll talk about this a little later. And they exhibit sexual dimorphism. That means the male and females are different in color, though not all gibbons are sexually dimorphic. And they live in pair. So you'll not see gibbon in a say huge number, for example, just like macaques or say langurs. So you'll not see them in say 50 or 40 in a group. So they are very, very smaller in group size. And they are found in tropical and subtropical forest in China, India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So this is the map of where all 20 recognized species of gibbons are present under four genera. So as I told you, gibbons, there are 20 species. The largest of them is Siamang, which has one species. And Hoolock, there are three species of Hoolock gibbon, Western Hoolock gibbon, Eastern Hoolock gibbon. And there is a new species of Hoolock gibbon called the Skywalker Hoolock gibbon, which is found in China. And there are 7 species under Nomascus genera, and there are 9 species under the Hylobates. So there are 20 species of gibbon found in the world. The species that is found in Northeast India or India such is Western Hoolock Gibbon, though there was a report of Eastern Hoolock Gibbon from India. However, later on the genetic analysis showed that these are not the Eastern Hoolock Gibbon, rather they are the Western Hoolock Gibbon. So we have only one ape species, which is the Hoolock Gibbon. One, except for the humans, we have only one species of ape, that is the Hoolock Gibbon. And they are distributed in eastern Bangladesh, the tropical forest of eastern Bangladesh, and all 7 northeastern India, states of northeastern India, and northwestern Myanmar. So west of Chindwin River mark the say easternmost distribution of Hoolock Gibbon. And they, as I told you, there are only 8 that are found in India, and they're distributed not uniformly across India. So Brahmaputra is the river Brahmaputra become a physical barrier for their distribution. They are found only towards the south bank of river Brahmaputra and the east of the Bang River. So looking at their habitat, so Hoolock gibbons are exclusively forest dwelling and depend on the contiguous canopy, and they are arboreal in nature. So they're almost all their life they dependent on the contiguous canopy, and they stay in the upper canopy of the forest. And they are found in Northeast India. They are found in the broad-leaved, moist deciduous forest, mixed evergreen deciduous forest with the tall deciduous trees, and an evergreen understory, subtropical broadleaf forest from mountainous hill, valley, slope, and lowland forest to wet evergreen and semi-evergreen forest. And the best habitat for gibbons are those habitats where the canopy is contiguous. So if there is a breakage in the canopy, so there is a huge gap in the canopy, so those kind of habitats are not suitable for Hoolock gibbon. Though most of the current forest where gibbons are present are the areas where there is a breakage of canopy, and this is one of the major reason of the decline throughout the distribution range. And Hoolock gibbons are found at an altitude from 15 meters above sea level to 2,500 meters above sea level. And one of the very typical social organization of gibbon, as I already told you, that they are not found in a huge group. The average group size is around 3 individuals, and the group size typically ranges from 2 to 6 individuals. So the majority of group consists of a serially monogamous mated pair of adult and usually one or several immature individuals. So there is one male and the female and their offspring. So it is said that gibbons are generally monogamous, though they are not strictly monogamous, though there are reports of sneaking copulation with the adjacent adult male or female. It was established by doing some of the paternity test of the infant, and they found that contrary to the belief that they are strictly monogamous, they are not. There is a lot of snake copulation with the adjacent adult individuals. The formation of a new Hoolock gibbon group can occur in several ways, including dispersed subadult pair formation. So when gibbon attain a particular age, they disperse. So, and this is very interesting that both male and female, when they attain a sexually matured age, they disperse from the group. So they do not stay with the group. So they leave the group and they form, and the male and the female from a male from one group and the female from the another group, if they leave and if they meet, they can form another group. Hoolock gibbons of both sexes emigrate from their natal groups when they become matured adults. So they are predominantly frugivorous. That means they typically eat fruits. So a large proportion of diet consists of fruits, mostly figs and other fruits. But they also rely on the tender leaves when there is a shortfall, when there are, particularly during winter or in areas which are very, very degraded. So they consume a lot of leaves. So leaves are not their primary food, but they eat leaves as a fallback food when there is a dearth of fruits in either because of the season or because of the high level of degradation. However, lianas, flowers, shoot, petioles, exudates, nectar, and lichens are also consumed regularly. And they also consume, in order to fulfill their protein need, some prey items such as invertebrates, insect, and sometimes spiders also, and sometimes birds' eggs. So they are not, say, completely or truly frugivorous, but they do consume a significant proportion of um, uh, insects or prey item in their diet. So there is a paper in Current Science which shows that in some of the season, for example, during July or August, they consume large number of invertebrates in Hoolock Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary. So as they are arboreal, they tend to fulfill their water needs. So you may ask, like, since they are always arboreal, so they never descend down to the ground, or so how do they fulfill their water need? So there are people thought that they do consume water because, or they fulfill their water needs through uh, some of the water containing plant parts or plant materials, and sometimes they lap the dew from the leaves, and they fulfill their water need. However, when I was working in Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary, I have noticed, or I have reported, this very unique behavior of drinking behavior of Hoolock Gibbon. So I just wanted to play this small video clip, and you'll see that how Hoolock Gibbon use this tree trunk or tree hole where the rainwater is collected, and how they are using this tree hole to drink water. As you can see that there is a tree hole, and the Hoolock, this is the adult male. Adult females are buff color. So this male insert its hand and insert its hand inside the water hole, and when the fingers become wet, then it will bring it up, and it lap the water from the fingers. So this is the unique behavior. And after I posted this videos on the social media, and I found that there are a lot of other records of different primate species using similar kind of strategy to drink water. So this is not very typical to gibbons, but other species also use this kind of technique to drink water. So this is one of the very important aspect of gibbon, that the gibbon generally do not walk. They cannot they cannot exhibit bipedalism, or unlike other macaques, the locomotion is very different. The locomotion in case of gibbon is called the brachiation. So brachiation is a specialized form of arboreal locomotion in which movement is accomplished by swinging from one hand to another by the arms. And Hoolocks are skilled brachiator and are known for the dominant use of this locomotor mode during traveling. And gibbons are anatomically adapted. So their hands are anatomically adapted. So the hands are longer than the feet uh, in the length of their forelimbs, their long hook-like fingers, and the mobility of their shoulder joints. So if other species wanted to do the brachiation, they are not able to do it because their shoulder is not anatomically adapted for this kind of, say, locomotion in the canopy. So I'll just play a video in order to show how the gibbon use this kind of a predominant locomotion mode to travel in the canopy.
This is Samar. He's 8 years old and lives with his parents and younger sister in a tight family unit. Gibbons are typically monogamous, and his parents have been together for many years. His father, like all males, has black fur and white eyebrows. Females are a paler buff color, like Samar's mother, clinging tightly around her waist is Samar's 1-month-old little sister, Raya. She still needs a lot of looking after. As a baby, she's even paler in color. Her fur won't get its true adult coloring for another 5 years. The family takes a well-traveled trail through the forest. They follow each other in single file. Mom, carrying Raya, pursues Dad, with Samar bringing up the rear. Moving through the forest canopy requires incredible skill and dexterity. Samar's father is a real expert. His swinging motion is a technique known as brachiation. Gibbons have evolved long, strong forearms. Highly mobile joints in their shoulders and wrists enhance their fluid movement. They can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour and cover nearly 30 feet between trees. These graceful gibbons are the true specialists of the canopy. But Samar needs a bit more practice. Close one. For gibbons, the occasional fall is part of life. The important thing is to catch another branch and keep on swinging.
So as you can see that, so they are the fastest. In fact, it has been said that they're the fastest animal in the canopy. So up to, say, for 50 kilometers per hour, they can travel in that way. So they are extremely clumsy when it comes to walking on the ground. So this is the video from one of the villages in Assam, Ketutang village. So this guy's name is Kalia, which is no more. And you'll see how they walk. So this is a bipedalism, but look at how clumsy they walk on the ground, because their hands are much longer than the feet. Yeah. So so there is one very interesting. So if you happen to be in Northeast India, particularly towards the south of River Brahmaputra and in the tropical forest, you may see this huge calls or huge noise in the forest. So these are nothing but the gibbon call. So the vocalization of Hoolock Gibbon. So they do vocalize every morning. So mostly before noon, the gibbon groups call. And contrary to other gibbons which are found in Southeast Asia, these calls are not sexually dimorphic. That means male or female, they call their call is not very different. So there is no sex-specific vocalization. And usually calls, they utter loud and complex call bouts or duets, which makes almost 90%. Though give a different kind of calls, but the call which is called the great call is 90% time they exhibit this great call. Of all vocalization and occur mostly in the morning, usually last up to 20 minutes. So in fact, it is said that the Hoolock Gibbon call can be heard from the 5 kilometer distance. So if you happen to be in Mizoram and in some of the hilly areas, so you may hear them calling from a very long distance. So the majority of calls are produced near the edge of the territory or outside of it. So gibbons are territorial. That means they actively defend their home range. So if there is another group nearby, then there is a lot of fight, and then they defend this territory by every morning, almost every morning during summer. But winter, they do not call so often. So it is said that during winter they conserve energy because call is extremely energy intensive thing. So they call during summer almost on a regular basis, uh, and they call from the edge of the territory so that they can defend this territory from the intruders. So there are different function apart from the territorial defense. So gibbon also call in order to maintain the pair bonding. So male and female call, and juvenile and sub-adult also join, and they also call because to reinforce their social ties and in order to mate attraction and defense and mate solicitation and in territorial reinforcement and defense. So the call is a very important part in their social life. So and it is also been seen that gibbons in a degraded areas they call less. So it is hypothesized that because there are the fruits or the food is limited in a degraded forest or degraded areas, so they conserve energy by not calling. So in those forests. So I just wanted to play this video to tell you how the gibbon calls sounds like. Yeah, so when they call, so this call also say stimulate other groups to also call. Then the entire forest is extremely noisy with the call of the Hoolock Gibbon. So these are some of the statistic about the parameter population parameter of Hoolock Gibbon. So observation from Hoolock and other gibbons indicate that the minimum age of first breeding is 8 years for female and 10 years for male. So when the male after the birth, when it become 10 years old, then only they are sexually active. Or in case of female, the females are 8 years old. So they produce offspring only after 8, and in case of female, and male engage in the sexual activities in the when they become 10 years old. And this age may perhaps be as high as 10 for female and 14 for males. So in such certain circumstances, so when the female become 10 years old and the male become 14 years old, they are sexually active. Hoolock population suggests that the typical reproductive lifespan may be 20 years. So they produce offspring till 20 years. So you can see that there is not much time for the Hoolock Gibbon to produce offspring. So in a typical span of a pair, so they contribute at least 5 to 6 offsprings. So of their reproductive life of 10 to 20 years. So you can see that you cannot expect, say, gibbons to like increase in number suddenly. So these are the biological constant that makes gibbon very susceptible to population change. So their population is not like a rhesus macaque or say other species which can proliferate in huge number. So they are limited by their biology. So they can produce only 5 to 6 offspring. So if they all live, then only the population become little healthy. So data from wild population of Hoolock and other gibbon indicate that an interbirth interval of 3 years is common. This would translate into 33% of adult females breeding per year on average. And interbirth interval could vary from 2 to 5 years. So, because this interbirth interval is very important because the infant is very much dependent on the mother. So the weaning period, so the infant is dependent on mother for a longer period of time. The parental care is much intense in case of gibbons. Unfortunately, almost all gibbons are endangered. So if you look at this conservation status of gibbons, so there are 4 gibbon species are critically endangered, and rest are either endangered, vulnerable, or in few cases they are yet to be assessed. However, so if you look at this species called the Hainan gibbon, there are only 22 individuals left. So in the entire world, so this species is found in one island called Hainan. So there are only 22 individuals left of this species. Rest of them are gone. So the conservation status of Hoolock gibbon, Western Hoolock gibbon, is they are endangered according to the IUCN Red List category, and they are listed as in the Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and they are in Appendix 1 of CITES, and they were also featured in the World 25 Most Endangered Primates between 2008 to 2010. And this is the rough population estimate. So there are 7,400 to 7,450 individuals plus unknown population which are found in Myanmar, and these are conservative estimate. But my feeling is that they're much lower in number. So since we do not know the population of Hoolock gibbon in Myanmar, so Myanmar the survey hasn't been done extensively. So we do not have a very accurate population estimate of Hoolock gibbon, but in other areas like Bangladesh, we have only 350, and India close to 7,000. But I think this is a little exaggeration in the number. But the gibbons, more or less, they are little less than 5,000 individuals in the world. And one of the major conservation concerns or the drivers of this population decline is the habitat loss and fragmentation. I've been working in this area called Borajan, which is a part of this Bherjan Borajan and Padmani Wildlife Sanctuary in Upper Assam. And if you look at this fragment, this is just a 5 square kilometer fragment, and this dark green area is the intact forest. So it's relatively better forest. But if you look at the other area within this fragment, it's all gone. So we have been monitoring this population since 2002. The previous data from 1995, 1997, 98 are from Srivastava and Anwarudin Chaudhary's work. And from the 35 individuals which were there in 1995 in this fragment, the population has seen a dramatic decline. And currently there are 4 individuals of gibbon. So there is only one group left, and 4 individuals of that. So it's demographically it's almost dead population then. And we did a land use land cover map of Borajan fragments, and if you can see from 1995 to 2018. So you can see this huge areas, the closed canopy has been converted into the open canopy, and this is one of the reasons of their decline from this forest fragment. Gibbons are extremely important. They help in seed dispersal, and also they help in regenerations of many trees of this forest. And they have immense cultural value. So if you happen to go to different villages or different areas in Northeast India, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and other areas, including Arunachal Pradesh, you'll see that there are so many religious beliefs about gibbons, and in many places, people do not kill Hoolock gibbon, though hunting is one of the major conservation factor. But in most of the areas that I visited, people do not hunt Hoolock gibbon. They say they look like a human, so we cannot kill them. Or there are certain taboos. If you go to Garo Hills of Meghalaya, people do not kill it. So you'll see gibbon in the villages. And one very important aspect of gibbon is that they could be important flagship species for the tropical forest. So I just wanted to make this point. So extreme left is this different fragments where there are no tiger, there are no elephants in most of this forest fragment. And these are small forest fragment to hold, say, large ranging animals like tiger or elephant. And I think for this kind of small forest fragment, gibbon could be one of the flagship species to protect it. And despite of being fragmented, this landscape has incredible biodiversity. So there are a lot of bird species, a lot of butterfly species, including primate species. In most of the forest where there are no charismatic species, so the gibbon could be a flagship species, and particularly in areas where, as I told you, Meghalaya, there are no tiger. So how to protect this, right? So gibbon could substitute this charismatic species to become a flag bearer of conservation of important conservation areas in Northeast India. In fact, people have been working and communities are actively participating in conservation of Hoolock gibbon. So there is one village in Meghalaya where people have actually come forward to conserve Hoolock gibbon. And there is one village in Upper Assam, and this is called the Barikuri village. There are around 19 individuals of Hoolock gibbon, and as you can see, these gibbons are entirely within the non-protected areas. These are in the villages, right? And people are conserving these species in this village for a longer time. So there are say dialogues of relocating them to the nearby forest, but the villagers, if you go and talk to them, they said no, we are not letting this gibbons to relocate to some other places. And I think this is the relationship of gibbons with humans in this kind of forest, I think, holds the future of Hoolock gibbon in Northeast India. So as long as we have a very cordial relationship with the Hoolock gibbon, I think we can have a better future for Hoolock gibbon. And also, I think the most important thing that we need to do, particularly in Upper Assam, where I worked for a long time, is to restoration of this degraded forest, because there are a lot of areas where Hoolock gibbons were present earlier, but due to the habitat loss and the habitat fragmentation, we lost many individuals of Hoolocks or entire groups of Hoolock from those forests. So the need is to um, promote restoration activities aggressively. And if we can do that, I think we will have a Hoolock gibbon future safe in this forest. So with this, I would like to thank once again for the Central Zoo authorities and for giving me this opportunity to present this work. I think I'll wait for the questions if you have any. So I'll be able to answer to that at the end. Thank you so much, Arundhati, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma, for the all-inclusive talk on the Hoolock gibbon, and for putting everything together in a nutshell in such a short time span. We will take question answers for this session towards the end once we have the Know Your Zoo talk. So joined in today to speak to us on the zoo is Dr. Sorang Tarap, who is the veterinarian officer at the Biological Park Itanagar. Dr. Sorang has worked as a veterinarian in the Hoolock Gibbon Translocation Project in Arunachal Pradesh before joining the zoo full-time. He has been associated with the zoo for close to a decade and has also been associated in the field of wildlife conservation as a veterinarian for 11 years now. So he'll speak to us more about the zoo in focus today. So, sir, please proceed. I will share the slides for you.
Thank you, Arundhati, for the introduction, brave introduction. I will try to speak a little bit fast because I have network problems here. In between, I have left once. So I will talk about our zoo in a brief. This is our Itanagar Zoo. So please forward. Next slide, please.
So is this slide visible to you?
So basically, so actually, I am representing Itanagar Zoo on behalf of my director. I have network issues here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please go ahead. I think keep your video off. That would conserve the bandwidth. So I think you can just speak from on the slides and let me know when I need to change them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. There is network issues here.
Am I audible to you
Hello?
now? Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I
so
can hear you.
yeah, sir, if you could keep
Yes.
your video off and you can continue speaking on the slides.
Yes, I kept my video off now.
All right, sir, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. I will go outside of the house now. I'm representing Arju Biological Park Itanagar on behalf of my director because my director is having some health issues, so he is unable to attend to this. As a small rescue center in Naharlagan. Naharlagan is about 15 kilometers from Itanagar. So it was upgraded to full-fledged zoo and named as Zoological Park Itanagar in the year 1987. After that, it was renamed as Biological Park Itanagar in 2003. So Biological Park Itanagar was bifurcated from Deputy Chief Wildlife Warden Naharlagan on 24th April 2019. Before that, the Deputy Chief Wildlife Warden used to control the Biological Park Itanagar as well as the Itanagar Wildlife Sanctuary. Central Zoo Authority approved the Itanagar Zoo Master Plan 2011 to 2021 in the year 2012-13. So total area is 250 hectares, and the category of the zoo is a small zoo. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, the objective of the Biological Park Itanagar is ex-situ conservation of breeding of critically endangered wild animals of the state. That is the number one priority. Number two is the scientific research on wild fauna, wild animals. And number three, in the rescue and rehabilitation of wild animals. And number four is educating people about the new. And number five is providing recreation for zoo visitors. That is the basic aim and objective of setting up of our zoo. Okay. So our zoo is located at an altitude of about 500 feet above sea level under Papumpara district of Arunachal Pradesh. It is about 4 kilometers away from the main city, that is Itanagar, capital region. It lies within the Itanagar Wildlife Sanctuary. The type of vegetation is subtropical evergreen forest. Next, and for approach by number one is by road. There is two approach roads. That is Holongi Check Gate, which is 20 kilometers from the Itanagar Zoo. That is Holongi Check Gate is Assam Arunachal boundary, and another check gate is Bandardeva Check Gate, which is around 40 kilometers from Itanagar Zoo. And by air, one can land at Bari Airport, not Lakhimpur, which is nearby Itanagar. That is 67 kilometers from Itanagar. And another is Mohanbari, which is located in Dibrugarh. And nowadays, one airport is being constructing at Holongi, which is around 20 kilometers from here. And by chopper, and Guwahati Express is there, Doni Polo Express, and via Harmoti, and up to New Delhi. Thank you. Next slide, please. And to enter Arunachal Pradesh, everybody knows there is a permit called Innerland Permit. One have to obtain this Innerland Permit before entering Arunachal Pradesh under Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation Act 1873. It is mandatory to acquire ILP for every Indian citizens except natives of Arunachal Pradesh, and for foreigners, restricted area permit for every foreign nationals. And next, please. Yeah, we have animal adoption schemes. Sorry. Oh. Yes, we have to create love and affection, care, and awareness from people towards wildlife conservation. A novel gesture by the Itanagar Zoo Authority in giving opportunities to the general public to adopt animal species of their choices, which is under process. I think we will launch it very soon. So through animal adoption scheme, the real and visitors amenities for visitor safety, we have essential amenities, selfie points, and next, please. And species of interest are Royal Bengal tigers, Hoolock Gibbon, common leopard, barking deer, wild pigs, dhole, cap langur, etc. And avian species like red hornbill, oriental pied hornbill, Himalayan griffons, silver pigeons, barbets, red jungle fowl, etc. And reptiles were gharials and pythons and the tortoises we have. Please. And for research and education purposes, zoo is very much conducive for carrying out research activities on animal biology, especially on Hoolock Gibbons. Zoo hospital imparts intensive training to the newly graduated veterinary students and the forestry students every year. Zoo also organizes celebrations like Wildlife Week celebration, Earth Day, Forestry Day, etc. by planting trees, conducting social services, essay competition, drawing, etc. Through this awareness, the school children and the civil society are sensitized by creating awareness about wildlife conservation and protection. Thank you. Next, please. These are the some healthcare protocols which under the army of the zoo action against and routine checkup, pre-monsoon vaccination, fringe vaccinations, routine screening of foods and feeds, routine cleaning, and the disinfection. Next. Next, please. Since our zoo is a small category zoo, we have 21 mammal species, 12 avian species, and 3 reptile species. Total, we have 33 species only, and total animals we have 233 only. Out of that, please, next slide, please. Out of that, under Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 species, we have 12 mammals, avians 2, reptiles 3, and the total 17 Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 animals, which comprises 113 individuals. Next, please. So, breeding the rare species, this is the Hoolock Gibbon. Hoolock Gibbon, I think Hoolock Gibbon, we are the only zoo in the country who are conducting the Hoolock Gibbon program successfully. Hoolock Gibbon conservation breeding program successfully. Like point of the through this cat we used to enter the conservation breeding area. Inside we have 4 enclosures. And some facts about the Hoolock Gibbon, conservation breeding for Hoolock Gibbon. This is the only gibbon conservation breeding center in India. Project started in year 2006 and 7. And all gibbons were rescued from Delo under Lower Subansiri district, Arunachal Pradesh. And initially 5 years as a parent stocks with 5 juveniles were brought from Delo. And the first baby called Anga was born on 5th July 2008. This Anga, later on, the Anga sent to Sepahi Jala Zoo under animal exchange program. These are some photographs of the male, female, juveniles, and pen with the mother. Next slide, please. So this is the birth and death records of gibbons since inception of the conservation breeding center. That is 2007 to 2021. We recorded the total births of 21 numbers, total dates 8 numbers, and total alive is 13 numbers. And current one status: male 8, female 4, male 5, total 17. Actually, recently we have identified one female. That is a female 5, male 7, and male 8, female 5, and juveniles 4. Total 17. And recently we have brought one male gibbon from Meow Mini Zoo. It is under quarantine, so we have not. I have not included in the current status. Please, next slide, please. So under animal exchange programs, we sent 4 gibbons to different zoos. The first one was named Diomali, a male sent to National Geological Park, Delhi in 2009. And second was called the Pintu, sent to Mini Meow Zoo in 2011. And third was called Anga, a female, captive-born female actually. We sent to the Sepahi Jala Zoo on 2012. And recently, in 2020, we sent one male gibbon to Assam State Zoological from Botanical Garden. Total, so far we have sent total animals under animal exchange program. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the feeding practices that we used to follow in the zoo. Apart from that, we have planted trees in just kilometers like wild environment. So that's why, because of this, maybe because of this good feeding and good enclosure, the animals are breeding successfully till now. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Very short presentation.
Right, no problem, sir. Thank you so much for giving a brief overview of the zoo, despite the technical issues that you faced in terms of the network breaking. So we'll move on to question answers session now. So Dr. Sharma, are you there? We'll first take up questions for the Know Your Species part of the talk today.
Yeah.
Right, sir. So the first question for you is that apart from actively vocalizing, how do the species mark their territories, especially in areas of overlap with other primates?
Sometimes there is a fight, but the most of the time they do vocalizations. So, but fight is not like a very aggressive kind of fight, but they will just move from one branch to another, show some of the growling and other things. So I haven't seen actually during my field work the physical contact or physical fight. Mostly it was with the vocal communication only. So, but they do fight.
Right, sir. And is there any information available on the resource partitioning that exists between them and the primates and other primates in areas of overlap as such?
Yes. So, resource partitioning when you talk about between gibbon, I think it's mostly that they defend their territory and whatever things are there. But it's very interesting that gibbons are also sympatric with other macaques, langurs, right? So in Holangapar Wildlife Sanctuary where I worked, so gibbons share space with pigtail macaque, stump-tail macaque, rhesus macaque, and cap langur, and also with the slow loris. So since slow loris is the nocturnal species, so that's that not much of a problem sharing the resources. And slow loris, the food habits are also a little bit different. But I have seen that gibbons and pigtail macaque, so which use the same canopy, so they do fight. So fight means they just chase each other from the some of the very key food trees. For example, if there is a ficus full of fruits, uh, and uh, um, and gibbons are feeding there. So sometimes the pigtail chase gibbon, and sometimes the gibbon chase pigtail. So there is that kind of chasing of individual chasing of different species. So within them they do not have they do have that partitioning of the territory, but with other species they have resource partitioning definitely. And also once I saw in the same holong tree, holong is a Dipterocarpus retrosus. So gibbons are sleeping at the top and the pigtails are sleeping little below. So they share some of these sleeping sites as well.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is that is natal dispersion seen in this species, or do they remain with the parents in the family unit?
No, they do not remain with the parents. So both male and female emigrate. So they go after attaining age of 6 to 7 years. So the male leave the natal troop, and females also. If there is it's a female, they leave the natal troop. And as I said, and suppose from there are two troops, and from one troop, if the male is emigrated and another female is emigrated, and sometimes they form a different group just at the boundary of their territory, and sometimes there is overlap, and they resolve this territory fightings. Yeah.
All right, sir. And so the next question for you is that the Hoolock Gibbons are like deeply entrenched in the cultural systems of people in the Northeast region.
Yeah.
So are there, what are the type of community programs that include, have there been any community awareness programs which include their livelihood also been implemented in these areas?
In some places, yes, but I think we need to really scale it up. So because gibbon tourism, people come here to see gibbon. So if you happen to be Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary, the flow of like a tourist there it has really increased over the last 1 decade. So I've seen from my own experience, people come to see gibbons, and I think these are the good opportunities. So if we can involve local people, so uh, in their conservation. And I think it is I think we have this. We tend to think that the local people only do the harm to the gibbons, but this is completely opposite. So if you go to Meghalaya, if you go to Mizoram, so I have been to Garo Hills, as I told you earlier. So people are there are this small forest places called Songacham. So these are the village woodlots. So there are gibbons. So I went to a headman place, and he said, "Just stay here. They will come at 12 o'clock, like in the noon." And then on just at the 12 o'clock, they were there. And people are very tolerant towards gibbons. So they think like they looks like us. And in one of the villages called Ringsangri in Garo Hills, so they say when there is a they have a belief that when there is a merrymaking or the villagers are in a happy mood, gibbons also call. And when there are somebody is dying, so they come remain silent. So I think this kind of thing is making the future of gibbons in those places, though the habitat is completely gone. So there are only some couple of you can count those trees. So they are staying in highly degraded areas, but still people are tolerant towards them. So other species you will not see, but gibbon definitely you will see. So I think communities are already conserving this. So I think what we need to do is to just reinforce that. So come sometime we can have a gibbon tourism, so that the benefit can go to the local people for conserving gibbons in the long run.
Right, sir. And sir, the next question for you is that a study has suggested that particular populations of the Hoolock Gibbon species are at a greater risk of local extinction and should be translocated. So, how do you think a conservation breeding program can fit into the conservation planning paradigm for the species?
Look, the conservation breeding is good, but I think there is still a scope of conserving them in situ. So ex situ, I think we haven't gone to that extent of promoting it in a large scale. So I think even now, I think the main focus should be the in situ conservation, restoration of forest, linking of this fragmented forest if possible. There are many places, if you go, gibbons are still there. And you have seen that it's so difficult, within a span of 15 to 20 20 years, there is only 5 to 6 offsprings. So and the amount of resources that will go for the conservation breeding will be very high. So I'm not against the conservation breeding. I think by all means let's go for that also as a not as a primary motive of conservation of gibbons. So still the primary focus should be in situ conservation, protection of this forest, involvement of the local people who are already aware of this, give them some sort of livelihood issues. For example, that Barikuri village 19 Hoolock Gibbon. So people are completely fine with having them. So let's go and there are if we can build that area as a tourism hotspot, so people will also get some of the incentive of protecting gibbons in their territory. And from the conservation breeding program, if you can relocate or rewild some of these areas where gibbons were present earlier, right? For example, the Bhirzan, there is a small forest fragments where gibbon were present, and we lost gibbon in 2005. We can rewild or reintroduce gibbon in those places, but from still not from the these villages, but from the conservation breeding program. I think that would really help in reviving the gibbons population. And I'm telling you that it's not a miracle that it will just go. Their number will go very, very fast. So they're slow breeders. So I think it will take time, but still the focus should be not to lose the whatever forest we have, and whatever degraded forest we have. I think it's an aggressive restoration program should be in place.
Right, sir. So those were the questions for you. We now move on to questions for Dr. Surang. So Dr. Surang, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right, sir. So the first question for you is that in terms of conservation awareness and outreach, are there any activities that the zoo plans And if you can just speak a bit about them.
Future planning.
No. So your outreach, if there are any outreach activities that your zoo takes up with the visitors or with the, school children or something, if that is something that you do in the zoo, and if you can elaborate a bit on it.
Okay, we can do drawing and painting competitions about a particular species. We used to do it in every year during Wildlife Week celebration also. We can do that and some drama, skit, we can do that.
Right, sir. And sir, what are the future plans of the zoo? If you can elaborate a bit on that as well.
Hello, sorry.
What are the future plans of
Hello.
your zoo? Can you hear me, sir?
Okay. Future plan.
Yes, of the zoo.
Okay, future planning of the zoo.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Future plan, like we can upgrade, increase the number of species from and increase and make it to medium zoo. At least collect more species, different species, rare species also, and increase number so that more people will come and visit, because our state is thinly populated state, so we have less visitors. If we increase the population, if we increase the size of the zoo to medium category, I hope we will be able to give more awareness and education to the public society through animal.
Okay. All right, sir. So I think those were the questions for you as well. So with that, we come to an end of our 51st Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk. And on behalf of CZA, I would like to thank both Dr. Narayan Sharma and to you, Dr. Surang Tarap, for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us for this talk. I would also like to thank the audience who've been with us throughout this talk, despite a few technical glitches that we did face towards the end. And I would also like to inform them that Biological Park Itanagar will be continuing the outreach activities till the end of the week. So if you can participate in any way in the activities plan, do that as well. And we will be back next week on Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. with our week 52 talk, which will be on the Blitz Tragopan as a species in focus and the Nagaland Zoological Park as a zoo in focus. So do tune in for our talk on Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. for that also. And once again, thank you so much to everyone who's joined in for this talk. Namaskar.
Thank you.